evening, everybody, and welcome to Thrashcast, episode 46. Wow, 46, guys. I want to introduce our co-hosts tonight, which is Ken and Billy. 46. Wow.
Yes,
It's
sir.
been a long 46. It's been awesome. What do you
50.
guys think?
Yeah,
Come
almost
on,
50.
Yeah, milestone.
Yeah.
It's coming.
So just a little bit of housekeeping. Want to welcome everybody to Thrashcast. Just a quick note on where they can find us. That is, you can just go on YouTube and just search up Thrashcast. You'll find us under Horror Metal Sounds, Kenji.2864. You can also find us on Spotify, and we start a Rumble on Rumble. So, you can find us there. We want to get our, we welcome everybody. We welcome comments. We'd love to know what everybody thinks of the format of the show. Send in some comments. Definitely love to read them. And we're trying to get our viewership up and our subs up. So, we appreciate everybody to comment, like, and follow. And what do you guys think? We want to get that up, eh?
Yep, that algorithm. Got to get into that algorithm. That's important.
Definitely. So tonight we're going to be tackling 1986 Whiplash album, Power and Pain. Look at that. There we are.
I have it upside down? No,
you got it.
You got it right.
Sort of that iconic album cover. So
yeah, I love that album.
And the guys on the back.
Oh yeah, the three Tonys.
Yeah,
wicked. So before we get into that, we'll jump into just our little segment on some news and what's spinning. And Ken, take it away.
Sure. I have a few tidbits mostly. I read that Kerry King was recently on Comp 92.3 radio in Vegas, and they did an interview, and he basically said that it looks like 2026 is a good possibility for new material. So,
yeah,
interesting
From
news.
him or from Slayer?
No, from his character.
Okay.
Yeah, no Slayer. I highly doubt that'll ever happen again. But yeah, so he mentioned that. It was like, all right, well, he's sticking to his guns with that, so that's interesting. And then the other little bit of tidbits I came up with, or I found, I did read that ex-Megadeth guitarist Jeff Young, apparently he's working on a solo album, which he's been doing for like 11 years straight. It's called Revolutions. Sounds like it's coming out this year. He said it's going to have a lot of variety on it, so like hard rock songs, some funk, world, and a kind of a world music vibe. So that's pretty cool. I mean, there's no official release date yet, but the way he was talking, it's like it will be released sometime this year, which is cool. So I like his work. One Megadeth album, but I mean, I thought he was decent on that album.
Sure.
Yeah, I know that's one of your favorite albums, Jim.
Oh yeah, for sure. Love it.
Yeah. And then the last tidbit I have is Forbidden. I did read that they're going into the studio to record. They didn't say album, but they said new song, and that apparently Dan Monograin is joining them for it.
Nice.
And I think Craig was saying something about that Dan's like a real integral part of the band. So it sounds like he's staying on. It sounds like he's going to be doing double duty, like with Voivod and with Forbidden, which is cool.
And he definitely is. He said it. He said he's gonna be a main writer for the entire album.
Okay. Yeah. So and that's cool. But I guess my only point was that I guess he's going to be staying in the band long term. Because originally he was just a fill-in dude when this was first announced. But every time I hear something from out of the Forbidden camp, it's like, Dan's here and he's not going anywhere. So that's cool. I think that's cool. I'm looking forward to hearing the music whenever they record. So yeah, that's all I have tonight.
Wicked. Billy, what have you got for us?
Yeah, just one quick news item I thought was kind of interesting and kind of falls in our area was Milwaukee Metal Fest announced a tribute concert. So tribute to SOD.
Oh, nice.
Stormtroopers of Death. So Scott Ian will be there. Dan Lilker will be there. So the two original guitarists and bass player. But like, there's no Billy Milano. I don't know what's
Oh,
happening there. Jamie Jasta, who of course is the
Oh,
organizer of Milwaukee Metal Fest and vocalist of Hatebreed, he's going to be the singer.
okay.
And then the drummer is actually Scott Ian's son, the
oh,
little.
nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That should be kind of interesting, but like I don't know. I don't follow like Billy Milano that well. I don't know if he's had a falling out or if he's not well or what. But it would be cool to see it with him. I would think.
Well, it would be better for
Yeah.
sure.
But anyways,
I think Jasta will do a good job. He's
yeah.
pretty capable. Yeah,
Yeah. And
I
he
like
did
him.
last year at the Milwaukee Metal Fest. He did the like he did a lot of vocals with a lot of different hardcore bands. So yeah, I think it's kind of within his wheelhouse, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So then in terms of that's the only item I had. Excuse me, in terms of what am I spinning this week? So playing Oxygen Destroyer, Guardians of the Universe. So this
Cool.
is pretty cool stuff. Interesting album cover, but you kind of get a mix of like thrash and death and even a little black metal or blackened vocals
Okay.
at times. But it's pretty cool. Guys are from like Seattle. It's like their third album. I
Oh,
just discovered them last year on this one.
how
So
old is that album, Billy?
this is 2024.
Okay.
Wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. The
So
cover
yeah,
looks
it's
good.
pretty cool. And the Godzilla album,
Yeah,
that's
I like the
wicked.
cover.
I like that. And then the other album I'm spinning here, it's kind of an interesting one. I have a personal connection because I was at this concert. But we got Hanson and
Oh,
friends. So we're
cool.
talking Kai Hansen,
Hi,
Thank
Hanson.
Wacken live. So this was like a great performance in 2016. And so basically he's playing all his tracks from his 30, 3 decades in metal album, which if people don't have that, they should definitely check that out. I mean, the vocals on that album is like the who's who of German metal, right?
Mhm.
You get like Kiski from Halloween, you get Hansi from Blind Guardian, Ralph Sheepers, of course, from Gamma Ray, and what's the other one?
Oh,
Uh, his
uh,
latest. They have like 10, 15 albums or whatever.
yeah.
You know, the name escapes me.
Oh, Primary.
And Tobias from Avantasia. And so that's a pretty cool album. But on this one, this is like an important piece of history, I think, because this was in 2016. And so about half of this, or almost half, is Halloween covers. And Michael Kiske joined him on stage at Wacken and sang the Halloween covers. Now, that doesn't sound like much today, but
Mhm.
this is pre-Pumpkins United, right? Like in 2018, the band is the first time the band reunited. So this is probably this and Unisonic, which is the solo project of Kiske and Hansen, is really what created everything that happened over the last 7 years, and
Mhm.
all those reunited Halloween tours. So pretty cool album. If you're a fan of Halloween or Gamma Ray or Kai Hansen, again, can't recommend this enough. And this is the live, and then the other one's called 3 Decades in Metal, and it's all the studio stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Is
So
that Primal Fear? Sheepers is.
yeah,
Yeah,
Primal Fear.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying Primal Rage, but Primal Fear, yeah.
Primal Fear. Yeah.
Wicked.
So, cool. That's what I got.
Awesome. Well, just a quick little tidbit of news that we kind of continue on from last week with the Black Sabbath show in Birmingham coming up. They've added Guns N' Roses, Tool, and Rival Sons to the bill. And as we found out, Ozzy apparently is just going to be doing bits and pieces. So whatever that means, it's going to be pretty limited, I think. There was some mixed reviews online, people talking about, I mean, we talked about this last week, and we talked about it being kind of, it's great to have a send off, and, Ozzy's health is deteriorating and not very good. So everybody's always been thinking like how's he going to participate? And I think this says it. So in very minimalistic amounts. So which which probably is legitimate. It's kind of weird they didn't, it's kind of dirty a little bit that they didn't bring that out prior, but I guess any real fans would know that ahead of time anyways. And with the lineup that's on there, it's not like, I think, I don't think anybody thought like Metallica is going to do a set, this band's going to do a set, that band's, it's all going to be intertwined as more of a tribute. And I would assume members, like single members, as well as bands, will be doing sets of the songs and probably coming out with the band and doing it. So it still would have sold out and do really well, but just kind of a little bit sneaky because we even heard that like Ozzy's voice was in tip-top shape and he was going to do it by sitting down. And, we know, there's a lot of bands out there where the singers and that can't move like they used to. So a lot of them do that and it's still very viable. But then to hear them just have bits and pieces where the prices with everything going, oh geez, but anyways, still probably one of the biggest things that are going to happen this summer. So anyways,
the biggest thing this summer, really.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I'm spinning, I picked up a couple of albums this week. This one here is really cool. I picked up Harlot, Extinction.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I am loving this band, and I got to be honest, it's from our show from a few weeks ago where we were doing the Australian metal show we did, and this was one of my favorites, but I started picking up their catalog. I think they've got 4 in an EP, so I've got now their second, and this is their third album. But man, this has such a really cool Slayer vibe to it. The first 3 albums seem to really borrow from the the Big Four, the American Big Four. The last album, I've streamed it. I'm still gonna get it. It's a little bit different. It's not quite as kind of borrowed from that. But this album sounds so many tracks on this album that have a really cool Slayer vibe. It's really, really amazing. This came out, I think, 2017. So I really hope, I think their last album was 2020. And I really hope they're looking to put something else, but there's no news anywhere. It's a really talented band.
Yeah, that one you showed, Jim, that one's my favorite by them.
Yeah, it's a wicked, wicked album. Oh, man, I can't stop spinning it. The other one I picked up was, I'm still on my Black Dahlia Murder.
Yeah,
I picked up Everblack, which is probably one of their top 2 in most cases of their most known albums. I got it and just kind of collecting their whole catalog. Wasn't really a huge fan. I only ever had 2 albums from them. And then their new album, Servitude, that came out last year, just blew me away. So I really started, and I'm listening to them almost weekly now in my playlist. I really, really like it. I'm going to pick up probably the few more that I'm missing. But no, that's what I got, guys.
Cool.
Really cool stuff. But yeah, it's neat when we do a show and all of a sudden it kind of, because we did our top 10 Australian bands, and then I started really looking into Australian bands, absolutely falling in love with this. So really, really cool.
Yeah. It's funny, that one also showed up probably going back like, I'm going to guess at least 25 episodes when we did the newer thrash bands.
Oh, yes.
Right. Both Ken and I think we had that on our list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good band.
Okay, so we're going to jump right into the album here. I'll do a quick little summary, just a quick one, and then we'll get into some questions. But Whiplash from New Jersey, so part of the East Coast thrash scene, have some wicked, wicked albums. This is their debut that we'll be covering today that came out in 1986, Power and Pain. Which is really cool. So the members, there's only, I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I believe there's only one member who's been, that's Tony Portero, the vocals and guitar. Billy, I even reached out and said, hey, I saw some pictures of him in Wacken, on the 70,000 tons in 2017. You were like, yeah, he was there last year.
Or 2020, he was there. Was the last time. Yeah, 2020.
And you said he went and performed as Whiplash?
Oh yeah, they had the Whiplash banner for sure.
Oh,
yeah,
wicked,
there were 3 of them.
Did you know that they played Toronto in 2023? I didn't even
really.
Yeah, they played Toronto.
With who?
Wow.
I was only able if you go on to
Oh
setlist.fm,
yeah, yeah.
they played Toronto in 2023. I was like, what? Really? How come I
That
didn't know that? It was
Yeah.
like it
must have
was
been
so
a big lineup. We probably missed them like deep
yeah,
down or
I
something.
would assume so. Yeah, you're probably right. But yeah, I saw that they did play
But
TO, and it was the first time they played since the 80s in Toronto, apparently.
Wow.
Since the 80s, like late 80s, 88 or 89 or something.
So the two little interesting facts about this album. Tony Scaglione, who played drums, actually filled in for Slayer on tour
Yeah.
um, during I think '86 or '87. And but there's a couple of like they had some guest vocalists doing sort of backing vocals and backing screams. So they had a gentleman from Agnostic Front, but they had this is
Mm.
kind of a cool factoid. They had Peter Steele from Carnivore, and as most people would know him from Type O Negative. And obviously he's no longer with us anymore, but that's kind of neat that wow, he was doing backing screams and vocals on this album. Pretty cool stuff.
Well, I think it's pretty significant that they had Vinny Stigma playing
Yeah.
on it because Vinny, if you're an Agnostic Front fan, which I am, and I know a lot of like Anthrax. I know Scott's a huge fan,
Yeah.
so like I could see there's a punk rock connection for sure,
Oh,
guaranteed.
yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. You guys probably can't see that, but that's Whiplash playing at least
Nice.
the show
I can
you're
see,
talking about.
yeah,
Oh, wicked.
Yeah. So yeah, they were here in 2023.
Oh,
yeah.
that's wicked.
That's what I saw. I was like, I didn't even know they were here.
Hmm.
Cool.
Me neither. Wow.
Wow. You guys would have went.
I would have went if I known about it, but
Yeah.
I had no idea they were here.
Yeah. No,
Oh well.
that's interesting. So a couple of questions. I guess this one's kind of an interesting question to start with. We talk so many different levels of thrash bands. So we have we have our big fours in each country, and then we have like sort of a second wave, a third wave. But my question, it's so weird that so many talented thrash bands like Whiplash, for instance, this album came out in '86, so we were gliding into the heights of thrash metal. We were at sort of, the genesis would have been the early '80s, coming into this, and then heading into the '90s. But it's just so much optimistic talent with these albums that come out, and then these bands seem to just kind of fall off a little bit. I know the '90s. We're looking at '92. Things really changed '91, but '90 was like one of the strongest years for thrash metal bands. What do you guys think? Like so many of these bands, like even like you could even chalk it up to like Sacred Reich to to some degree. You've got Forbidden to. There's a lot of it's got to do with member changes, member deaths, member issues, stuff like that. And I know the changing times, but so some of these bands have stepped into it even like as early as '86 and still are having that trouble sort of grabbing on to any sort of mainstream success. Not necessarily to the Black Album, but what do you guys think? Ken, what's your thoughts on that?
Same as always. It's just evolution,
Yeah.
plain and simple. Things change, bands change, people grow up, tastes change, and I we don't talk about it enough, but people in general, our taste changed because mine did. I mean, I was still a thrash fan in the '90s, but I started listening to like industrial metal. I went to art school. I started listening to industrial metal. I started listening to all kinds of like post punk and British alternative. I mean, I got into all kinds of stuff. I still love metal. But yeah, I just think for me, anyways, from my perspective, and it may be different for you guys, but it's just you change, bands change, taste change, and we all know that at that time record labels started
Mm.
moving away from track and moving into the next big thing. So yeah, I think that's what it always comes down to. It's just it burns in your memory for a few years, and then and it does also. Don't forget, I mean, Metallica, I think the biggest thrash band and the biggest metal band in the world. They were the first band to do it, like
Right.
to style. So if they're going to do it, everyone else afterwards is going to start doing that. So
Yeah.
it's just to me, it's just the way it is, right? It happened. It's unfortunate, but
Bill, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, like I'll answer the question with specifically about Whiplash, because I think they have. Because I agree with Ken. Like we've talked about that. Like it just the times change, right? Thrash died, and Ken gave some of the reasons, but Whiplash was also, I think. I like Whiplash. I own their albums. I'd buy a new album. I've seen them before. But we got to be honest, right? I mean, in terms of success, whether it be 87, 88, 89, they were more of a C level thrash band, like in
True.
terms of the hierarchy of success. So there's also something, I think, in fairness, unique here, right? So I thought about it, right? So let's even look, how many times do we say, I guess this is coming, but 86, I see this sitting on the shelf, right? Does this make me buy it? Not me. So you guys might like it. I think it's a question that's going to come up. But
Yeah.
this didn't force a lot of people to pick this thing up based on the cover. And so
oh,
I think that didn't help them. Like I also think, like especially these guys earlier on, they had a new singer later. But Tony's vocals are pretty harsh on this.
oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and so it's not as if in 86 you got Master of Puppets.
True.
That's far more refined. That's far more melodic. You can see why that would hook on, and why perhaps Power and Pain would not hook on. So that all makes sense to me that this particular band was at a different level than most thrash bands. Like, and again, they come from New Jersey. You said it. Only one, like thrash, not talking New York, just talking New Jersey. Only Overkill made it out of there, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you have like a lot of like great, Bloodfest, and we've talked about Hades many times.
Yeah.
You got Blessed Death. I mean, a lot of great bands from Jersey. None of them got any farther than Whiplash. So that you could say, was it the labels? They're focused on New York. They already grabbed Overkill. I don't know. But I guess that's one thing. But I just don't think that their music was of the same caliber of what the first tier thrash bands were putting out, and probably even the second, if we're fair with ourselves. Uh,
True.
like the Death Angel was far more refined than perhaps this is. And not to take anything away from Power and Pain, because it's got awesome guitar work. It's a pretty cool album. But also, this is like, in my eyes, this is half speed metal, half thrash,
Yes.
right? And if anything, a lot of that speed metal sound was happening well before them in Exciter. So I'm not sure they necessarily had that originality either. Combining it with thrash was more original than Exciter. But that core speed metal sound, that was all done already by in Canada with Exciter. So I think all that probably contributed to them not having the success. And I mean, they were, to be honest, not breaking out in 88, 89, 90. Forget about after 90.
True. Good
I
point.
guess a bit of a ramble, but I gave a lot of thought to that.
No. I mean, that's another question, just a quick question, guys. With it looks like Tony's working on a new album. Apparently the name of it's going to be called Old School American Way. But there's no real set of when it's going to be released or where they are working on it. I mean, I definitely would definitely be looking for that. What are your guys' thoughts, Bill? What do you think? You definitely be interested in some
I would
new
get it.
material?
Yeah, I would support the band if they came back. I saw them last in 2020. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Tony was in good form. He was shredding up the stage. So yeah, I would support them for sure.
And Ken?
Yeah, well, it's the same.
Yeah.
I liked On Board Again. I think that was a really good album when it came out. So if they can kind of like build from that and build and then move on, why not? I'm like Billy. I buy all their albums when they come out. I wouldn't miss an album.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all for it too. Why not?
And was
I
it
agree.
86 also like Megadeth Peace Cells?
Yeah.
What's that?
86 was also Peace Cells, right?
Yeah.
Again, another sort of thrash album that was far more refined.
Oh yeah.
In
Master
sound.
and Peace Cells. So I mean, pretty much you're not going to eclipse that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree what you guys said. I mean, there is with this album, it's probably 75% even speed metal to some degree.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, it's just it's very similar, definitely to Canadian Exciter, and even part
Razor.
of
And
without
I
the
say
down
Razor.
tuning of guitars, even the Voivod's first War and Pain album, maybe a little bit more refined than that to some degree, but still, yeah, I agree. 100%. What? Okay, so let's get to the cover art, as Billy's already touched on it. It's
Yeah.
interesting that Metal Hammer magazine rated this in their top 50 hilariously ugly metal album covers of all time. What do you guys think? Ken, you're our resident. I mean, Billy's already said kind of his idea, and I kind of tend to agree with him. Thinking back to when I'm a kid walking into the record store, if that was sitting there and Peace Elspeth, who's buying, is sitting there, even any Iron Maiden album from before or even at that time, I think I'd be walking out with that. Ken, what's your thoughts on the album art? Do you think it's
See,
unjustly beaten or what?
no, I'm on the opposite end. If I saw
Yeah.
that, I would pick it up because I like it.
Yeah.
I like the cartoony style. And if you know anything about Sean Taggart, the artist, he's synonymous with bands like Crumbsuckers, Agnostic Front. He's even did the Jerky Boys covers. So like obviously he has the album cover has a connection to punk metal, So I think it works for me. I mean, but I take Billy's point very well, seriously, because it's like, yeah, you walk in the store and what the hell is that? And then you see, like, say, Vic Rattlehead, and obviously you're gonna gravitate to Vic over this kind of, like, I don't know, whoever the dude is with the metal hand. But I mean, I don't think it's a bad cover. I mean, honestly, I think I've seen worse covers. Like, I don't like face.
Oh yeah,
Night on Brocken, awful cover. Then there's Battle Axe, Burn This Town. I don't like. I don't even like the Pantera's Metal Magic cover.
Yeah,
those are all bad covers, but
yeah.
But being better than the absolute worst isn't great.
True. Yeah. Good point, dude. It's all good points. But I don't know. For me, if I saw it, I would probably pick it up because I don't know. I like the cartoon style, and then Sean's known for that. Like basically, he calls his work artoonism. So it's like a common.
Hey Ken, he did the next album, Ticket to Mayhem, right?
Yes, he did that cover.
Yeah, I mean I like that album cover better than this one.
Yeah, it's a much more painted style as opposed to the cartoony kind of punk metal vibes you would get. Because if you look at his Agnostic Front covers, they're all in the same style.
Yeah, true.
He's even did a Carnivore cover as well.
Yes, he has.
And he also did I think it's a single, but he did one for oh shit no.
I think he did one for Napalm Death, didn't he?
Napalm Death, that's what I was just gonna say. Love that cover.
Yeah.
So like he's all over the map for the style, but I don't think that, you know what, when you brought that question up, I started doing a little bit of research on like metal album covers by different websites, and I'm seeing on there people were ripping up good album covers saying it's garbage. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So really? It's a very subjective thing in the long run. When you think about it, any list is going to be subjective. But I don't actually think it's a bad cover. But but you know what? I'll take Billy's point. It's fair to say that if he walked into the store and saw that, no, he's going to.
Okay, and you just brought a new question up. What do you guys think of the name of the band? Like here we have.
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so question for you, Jim, because the first Metallica album's your favorite.
Yeah.
Like, what year did that come out? Because that had Whiplash.
It came out in 80.
It's before this, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It came out before this.
Yeah.
It's 85.
80. I think Ride the Lightning came out in 85. I think it was 84. 83 or 84.
Yeah, but you can very much say I think they were inspired by Metallica to some degree. There's so much we'll get to it, but there's a lot of worship on this album.
And
Tons
that
of
was
it.
the other question, because I thought, I'll be honest with you, when I first got this album, I
Yeah.
probably got it in like 87, maybe the end of 86. I can't really remember. I think this was released in February of 86. So I would have got it maybe that summer. And the first thing that drew me to it, I thought it might have been another Metallica type deal because of Whiplash. I
Whiplash,
mean,
yeah.
my one of my favorite songs of all time. So I picked it up just based on that. I mean, I turned
Yeah.
it around and saw the metal guys, and I was like, okay, this is heavy metal. I know this, without any knowledge. But yeah, definitely, I think that played into a lot for me to get into it. And I mean, Whiplash is one of Metallica's probably fastest songs.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
and it's probably would be kind of considered a slow song on this album.
Well, you know what though, that locomotive style that
Yeah.
they have in that song, I hear it a lot in a lot of this record.
Yeah.
So there's fair comparisons, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that was a good one, Billy. We were both thinking the same thing. I'm sitting there going like, I just came up with another question while we're talking about it, which
Yeah.
kind of should have slapped me right in the face. But anyways, when did you guys first hear Whiplash? I mean, pretty common question, but just to kind of set the record straight here.
Probably mid 80s, I
Yeah.
think. Mid to late 80s. Insult to Injury is the first album I bought of theirs, to be
Yeah.
honest. I like that album quite a bit.
That's actually probably my favorite of their
Yeah.
album, to be
I
honest.
like
Yeah.
And
The
that's a
album
different
cover is a
singer,
little-
right? If I remember correctly.
What's that?
Isn't that a different singer?
Yeah.
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 It's not Glenn Hansen. It's not the Hansen guy. It's I forget who it is.
I
There's
don't
another
remember, but yeah, I like that one
Rob
best.
somebody. They had to think about this band is every album they changed the singer. It was a brand new singer every album, practically. So, which would tie into your earlier question, Billy, about how the band maybe that one of the reasons why they never had an actual long-term singer with the exception of Tony. So that might
that didn't help either.
Yeah,
True.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Wicked. Well, yeah. I mean, did you pick this up in obviously in Montreal there, Billy?
Yeah, I remember seeing this thing out on the shelf, and
Yeah.
I got to be honest, I walked right by it. Actually, I think I might be like Ken. I think Insult to Injury is probably the first one I actually bought and brought home. I think I remember reading a review. Like I would go every Friday to the record store. And so I would go buy like Metal Maniacs on the Wednesday or Thursday before and read all the reviews. And so I specifically went to the store that Friday to get Insult to Injury.
Well, the singer was Glenn Hansen, and Tony was still there, but he did the guitar work. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is what I like best about him, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. For sure.
Glenn Hansen's actually a pretty good singer. I think he's a better singer than Tony.
I think so, by a mile.
I agree.
Yeah, he's way more audible.
It's not even in the same universe.
That's true. That's true. Good point.
Okay, well, we'll jump right into the album, guys. We'll get into the tracks here and go for that. So let's start it off with the first. And you know what? I love the fact this album's like 34:45, so just under 35 minutes. So it's a quick one. It's like in and out, punch in the face, you're over. The first song, Stage Dive. Why don't you start us off there, Billy, with what you think of the first song?
Yeah, I like it for sure. I mean, this is, I guess, based on the name alone, this is probably like their version of like Exodus's Toxic Waltz, or like, a perfect
Caught in the Mosh,
a perfect song for a live show. But yeah, like I said it before, I listened to this, and this is a track where I hear plenty of speed metal mixed in here as well. I don't think there's any doubt. And that's a tough for me. I struggle like when do you cross the line between speed metal and thrash metal? I always find if it sounds like Exciter, I tend to like shift it over to speed metal, but they seem to be a gauge for me. But that's a personal thing. I think this track I definitely get some like punk vibes. I gotta be honest, I'm not the biggest like Tony P vocal fan. Like, like I don't mind him on a lot of the tracks, but he's, I'll be honest, he's not my like total like favorite. But what I do like is, Tony, like I love his guitar work, right? And like a lot of these songs, they'll get into the 5 minute mark or even the shorter ones, and Tony will still let it rip, right? With often like even two solos in short songs. So I'm really good with that for sure. I mean, this thing, like, and speaking of leads, it's like,
Yeah.
140, and it's pretty cool because here he breaks the speed metal and thrash pacing of the song, and he kind of enters like a new album or traditional metal. If anything, I wish they did that a little bit more, just for the sake of mix, but I think it worked well in this song for sure. He's got a couple screams in here that I guess you either like or you don't, depending if you're a Tony fan. But yeah, it's like a straightforward thrash speed metal attack, but it's very effective. I like it.
And Ken, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I like it too. Like just to add on for with the vocals, like there's that one kind of Max Cavalera groan at
Yeah.
217, and it just like sets a quick tone because then it gets a super heavy chugging and then it goes into this super fast tempo. I love it. That's such a great part. The vocals are very very tears, so I can see that. I pretty much feel like the vocals is what probably turns people off from the band.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
even James, if you compare to say James could have had that screech on Kill 'Em All too, but he sang. It was
Right.
audible.
Yeah.
You could hear him sing. Tony's just like, it's got to the point where is it black metal? Is it death metal? Is it punk? Is it a combination of all three? Because at times you're like, this is not even audible. Even Venom sounded better than this at times. I'm not the biggest of Venom fans, but yeah, it's just something I noticed. But overall, though, like, yeah, it's great. Like, there's a good burst of energy at the start. Like, it's raw, it's greasy at times. The riff, but with Billy pointed at 140, that's really great. I love that part of the song. But yeah, as an opening song, yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, at 18 seconds, that huge scream. I like Tony P's vocals. I consider it, I broke it into a new type of genre, and that would be evil thrash, because he sounds like he could have darker vocal range with it. I mean, it is a little inaudible at times. Could be, I mean, the production on this album's, compared to what was coming out at 86 at that time. We talked about, obviously Master of Puppets and the Megadeth album Peace Sells, a little bit different of a tier there, but still, I think it's got that, it breaks into where it's got a bit of an evil sound to it. I kind of like that. There's also some hints of melody in the song, and that's throughout this whole album. But I think the stronger part of the album is like probably even the last four songs. But no, it's a good starter for me too. Ken, why don't you take away number 2, Red Bomb?
Yeah, Red Bomb's kind of all right. Like I guess it sort of plays off Stage Dive. I like how it starts out. You get that riff at the start, like the speeds up at 105, and then there's a lot of chugging intensity, and there's of course that big major scream at the 140 mark, which is interesting. The vocals again are very terse, so that's something you gotta. A lot of punkish shouts. I think he's even shouting half the time on the song, the way he handles it. The guitars are great. I just love, it's so solid. It's a good minute from 320 right on. And it's just pure guitar genius. It's great. Love it. And yeah, it's a solid song. Maybe the vocals kind of hold it back a little bit, but I like it.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, you hit all the timestamps I had down there, except like at 202, the vocals kind of start off at 140. That scream kind of sets the song, like totally explodes at that point. I think he's got a good vocal performance on this. It is fast. I mean, that 350, that really fast solo just kind of takes off. Billy, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I have a common thread, right? Like in that I'm not the biggest fan of Tony's vocals. So for me, I actually X Tony's vocals. I really like this track. I'm actually a fairly big fan, but I guess that's a big thing, Tony. But again, you guys hit on it, right? But yeah, like I just absolutely love at 320 the guitar. It's just shred heaven.
Yeah.
He does a fantastic job. Then he gets going again at 350. He starts shredding all over again. It's great. I also think like the bass and the drums are pretty good,
Mhm.
right? So this is a three-piece. They don't have the extra guitarist. And we talked about this, I guess, recently on another three-piece, but or coroner, I guess. Like you do get to hear the bass, right? Because you got
Right.
like you don't have two guitars. So like I enjoy that. Like I think the drums are very solid. So production wise, I think you hit it, Jim. Like probably, yeah, the production's not the greatest. It's 86. Like like I do find the guitars slightly thin, and an overall rough mix, but the guitar playing so awesome.
Mhm.
Really care what they sound like, so that's all cool with me. Yeah, I really like it. Ken mentioned the chugging. There's a lot of great like marching chugging going on, and so yeah, that's all cool. So yeah, I like it. It's good.
Yeah, number three, Last Man Alive. And this is a pretty cool one. It's got sort of a guitar machine gun fast intro again. I still like Tony's vocals on this. And the bass and drums in this one's fairly prevalent as well. And that's a good point, Billy. I think with a three piece, you definitely get that more so than if you had a second or even a third guitarist. You know, I find it's a wicked at 135. You go into that shred fest again. It's got a really cool beat. Billy, we'll start with you. We'll continue with you. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, like you've kind of hit on a lot of the points about the track, actually. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. This is another one that reminds me more getting into the speed metal territory versus thrash metal. This one's like a little maybe the most straightforward songwriting. You don't
Yeah.
get a lot of like crazy stuff going on, but it's still fast, it's aggressive, there's lots of energy, so plenty to enjoy, and kind of makes you want to mosh, I guess. Yeah, and this is another one where if you're listening, and I think the remasters do a better job.
Mhm.
Where
Okay.
the bass is pretty complementary to what Tony's doing. I don't know, like versus the original recording, how well that stands out, but that came out in the repress I have. Sounded pretty good. So yeah, I liked it. I think it's another solid song from these guys.
Wicked. And Ken?
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I mean, it's okay. I don't mind it. It's not one of the songs I find memorable for my taste. It definitely has some punk vibes to it. The solo is pretty decent. Like it's an okay song, but I don't know. It's all right. It's just in comparison to the first two, I prefer the first two songs.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
as good as it
This
would be
one,
in the bottom half for sure.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like it's like you said, Billy. It's very straightforward,
Yeah.
kind of straightforward, and not as interesting as the first two.
Well, Ken, take us into number five, Warmonger. The second lightest song. The first one was Stage Dive at 309. This is at 318. So for shortness, this would be the
Isn't this
second
Message in
shortest. What
Blood?
do you think?
Didn't
Isn't
we
it
skip
Message in
one?
Blood? Yeah, we did.
Oh, sorry, number four, Message in Blood.
Message
Thank
in
you.
Blood. Yeah.
Ken, take us to Message in Blood.
Yeah, this song I like a lot. I love the opening.
Yeah.
What I also like is there's the guitars go on this kind of collision course right at the start, and then it ramps up with the speed, and then it's really heavy sounding. The vocals on this one are really shrill. That much I will say. The solo is really good, and then you get that starting at like the 150 mark. It's pretty solid, and then it's weird. It kind of like winds down as you get around the 320 mark and right to the end. But yeah, I like this song a lot.
Yeah, I find it kind of riffs in and riffs out with like
Yes.
kind of how it happens. It's definitely a neat song. It explodes at like almost the 30-second mark, and the vocals cut in just shy of the 50-second mark. It's got that it's got like a classic thrash solo in there. Bill, what's your thoughts of the song?
Yeah, I like it. I find this one's pretty aggressive once it gets in. It doesn't really slow down too much. And you guys said it, right? From 150 to 240, just like shut the door. This is lights out soloing from Tony. It's like fantastic. Maybe some of the best work on the album. So that's where it's all at for me, that 1 minute section. As most of these songs, right? Like when Tony does his solos, it's always the highlight of each track.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unfortunately, his vocals are my low light.
They're pretty shrill here.
Well, he does both, so at least
you're exactly. So he ends up being pretty good. You average them out.
Well, Bill, we'll continue through Warmonger that I tried to jump ahead to.
So this is a good one, right? So I like this. It's fairly short, right? Maybe the shortest, but this one's definitely thrash metal. I like this one. It's relentless for sure. It's interesting. I find Tony, these next couple tracks, Tony's vocals, he plays around with it a bit more.
Yeah.
They're a little different, and we could get to that. But like in this particular one, he's a little more in that lower and less like shrill, I find, in this track. And I can't put my finger on who he sounds like when I listen to this track.
It's a good point.
I kept playing it again, and it reminds me of something. Like I don't know if it was Celtic Frost, but not totally Celtic Frost. But he's singing a little differently here. I mean, this is one of the catchiest songs on the album, so I think it's a little bit more accessible for people, and this is one you can sing right along with it, right? Like Use Your Fist, sing. This would be a great song live. 125, forget it, like jaw-dropping solo, and it pretty much goes, I think, to almost 3 minutes. It's crazy, and then it kind of ends with the deep shouting Warmonger. It's a great. I like this. It's one of the better ones.
Yeah, I got to admit, I like the kind of the darker vocals as well. Still good speed, but definitely more of a thrash vibe to it. Ken, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I like the song too. I think the change in vocals is because of the catchy chorus. Like there's an addictive chug. The chorus is catchy, so I think he's trying to play off that. There's a lot of Kill 'Em All and even Venom vibes here, I thought.
Yeah.
And if you want to think what he sounds like, I almost feel like it's black metal. It's going into that kind of territory, at least a little bit in my mind.
A little bit. And he does in another song too.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. And that's kind of where I'm thinking, like, it's almost like these guys are almost like pioneers in some ways for like the black metal. Like, I know what Celtic Frost is synonymous for that style within their music, but you get it. You're getting it here too at times. That's why I always say I compare them a lot to Venom in a lot of ways, in some ways. But yeah, this is a pretty good song as well. I like the song.
Yeah, me as well. Well, Ken, take us through Power. I think this would be if they were to release. There's a couple of singles I think on this, if there would have been, but obviously there wasn't. But I think this is probably one of their most notable tracks. Take us through Power, Thrashing Death.
Oh yeah, this is a great song as well. I like there's the chug and riff here at the start, really gets you going. And then he has an attempt to do some vocal harmonizing at times on the song, so it's okay vocally. I guess he's trying to, I don't know, change it up a little bit as he's going along. Lyrically, this is one of my favorite songs. It's like, breathe the metal in the air, feel the power everywhere. It's so great. It's got a catchy chorus. And I just love how it winds down at the end and he adds on that speech. Like, here's the cherry on top. It's great. I like the song quite a bit.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Billy, what's your thoughts of this sort of anthemic Whiplash song?
I think I'm most shocked that Ken wins 6 songs before he talked about vocals. That's the shocker of the day. I didn't even realize. That's very unusual.
You're talking about lyrics, you meant, right?
No, I know you are. Like that's what I didn't mean it
Yeah.
in a negative way.
Yeah.
Uh,
No. You said vocals, but I think you meant lyrics.
oh,
Lyrics, yeah.
lyrics. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
lyrics.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. Like the first, I found that to be
Like, are
honest,
they
the first.
silly lyrics? I don't even know. Like,
No, I
They're a
think they're
little
all right. Yeah. I mean, they're okay.
derivative.
But I thought they get a little more interesting in the back half,
okay.
not the first half, in my mind. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like this too, right? Like it's a strong last half of the album. I mean, I agree with Ken, right? Tony again's a little bit different,
Yeah.
and I don't mind him, right? Because again, and exactly as Ken said, like he's trying. To me, Ken said melody. To me, he's trying to sing a bit in the chorus, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, and I don't hate it. Like it's not terrible. Like I don't mind him here, and again, this is about the lead work again. I mean,
yeah,
155 it starts. And the interesting thing is at the end of the track or towards the end, there's actually some like proto death metal
Oh,
scream.
the growls.
There's a couple, right? Growls. And then he has one of his normal massive screams to end it out. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like he's really playing with his vocals in tracks 5, 6, 7, and we'll talk about that. Even 8, I hear some
yeah,
changes as well.
Yeah. I love this song too. I think it's like I mean it's one of their main songs in their catalog that everybody would probably who know thrash would know it for sure. And yeah, those end growls, definitely proto death stuff going on there. Totally agree. We're heading into track number 7, one of my favorite songs, Stirring the Cauldron. The back end of this album is so strong, I think. I mean, this has such a cool heavy intro. Again, this has that dark evil vocal sound,
yeah.
and it's melodic. I just find and at 321 again, it's another shred fest. I mean, Ken, we'll start with you on Stirring the Cauldron.
Yeah, I like this song too. I mean, I'll go do the callback to lyrics. I love the lyrics here. It's like, like the moon is full one dark evil night. A blood curdling chill, fog is thick, howl the wolf with the dark evil power. That's great. I love all that stuff. It could be taken kind of cheesy, but I think it works for the song. I mean, certainly there's a play on Venom, there's a play on Black. I think I get a lot of black metal vibes here. You said evil, that's
Yeah.
true, but I get a lot of black metal vibes on the song. I could see a lot of black metal bands. I often wonder if like the classic bands in Norway, if they've heard this album way back when, because I could see it. I could just see this kind of stuff being a hallmark for black metal in some ways. But this is good. Locomotive chug at the start, like it's got again some more Kill 'Em All vibes. I like that song quite a bit.
And this song also, like, I wonder if they were listening to like maybe some Merciful Fate, because not that he sounds like King, but not
No,
at all.
Yeah.
But like some of the focal points of this song kind of give me a bit of a Merciful Fate kind of vibe, but not anything to do with vocals or even musicianship to some
you're
degree.
saying like
But
the attitude.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I can see
yeah.
that.
What do you think, Billy?
Yeah, so this is the one I was alluding to earlier,
Yes.
and it relates to exactly what Ken said. This is the most like black metal feeling on the album. I think. I think this is like it sounds like the early Creator, the early Sodom, the early
Yes.
Destruction, and mix it with Venom. That's what this sounds like
Yeah.
to me. And to Ken's point, like, was this influential? Well, I mean, if Creator and Sodom was, this would have to be too, because it has
Yeah.
that same kind of feel. So, but like particularly the vocals are a bit proto black too, but there's still like thrashy components. It's not like a pure black metal track. And I think Ken mentioned there's like 2 incredible like solos, 135 and like 320 or so. Yeah, like some great riffing. It's a great track.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's cool. Yeah, and that as soon as you said the first Sodom EP there, definitely, and that reminds me of that for sure. Yeah, definitely that direction. Not in vocals or anything, but in more context of the feel of the song. I'm gonna I'm gonna save number 9 for Billy because I want to jump back to Ken on number 8 here. Spit on Your Grave, and I want to because I know this is at first I thought, oh man, maybe we have a movie soundtrack bit here, but because it is there's a movie named this, correct?
Yeah, I Spit on Your
Yeah.
Grave. What you're referring to. I think there's somewhat of a small connection, but lyrically, like, they're talking about I am your master, with free iron with a free iron fit with the iron fist, ruthless and evil. I am the master. I will spit on your grave. So I don't think it's really related to I Spit on Your Grave, but this is one hell of an evil song. Really evil. Attitude super chug is really fast. Love the vocals here. He gets real maniacal sounding, almost like there, and he adds this sadistic laugh into it, which is a little bit of a variation. That's kind of neat. So it just goes from there. And I think a lot of the guitars are tuned down to half step, for the most part. But I like it. I think it's a good song as well.
Cool. Billy, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's good. And the back half is probably my least favorite of the back half, but
Right.
I still think it's good. Like, and Ken kind of hit on everything. It's a short song, but but excuse me. This is one where I actually do hear again some early death metal style vocals, probably the most consistent in this track. So yeah, I guess Tony to some degree, he's not the best vocalist, but he sure gave a lot of different variety of vocals here on the album. So I guess kudos to him for that. But yeah, I mean, I got nothing to add from what Ken said.
I love the chorus too. Spit on your grave. The reason
Yeah.
why I brought it up with the movie, but the movie came out in
Yeah.
the 70s, right?
Yes. Yes.
The original, yeah.
That's right. So they would have been aware of the movie before this album came out, of course.
And the synopsis of the movie is essentially, if I remember, because I saw the remake of it, I guess this movie was kind of banned and stuff, correct? Like it had,
Yeah, because the girl gets raped in the
yeah,
woods by these four dudes,
and
and
then
then she comes back and kills them all. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like female revenge, but it's pretty for a movie for the time. Yeah, I can see why this movie was banned.
Yeah. No, it's just, but I love the fact that, I love that chorus, and I love where this at 114 the song just totally stops and then starts up again.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty cool, and that yell at the end again, that just kind of happens. That's pretty cool. Billy, we're heading to you to finish us off here on the last song, "Nailed to the Cross."
Yeah, I know. This is like obviously a very good song, a good ending song. It's interesting in that it starts with lead guitars
Yeah,
kind of for the first 30 seconds. So that's a bit different compared to the rest of the album. But yeah, it totally shreds this track. It's a total sing along like thrash anthem, right? Like I wonder, didn't Destruction have a
Nailed
song
to the cross. Yes.
called
yeah.
I wonder if they were
Nailed to the
influenced.
cross. Nailed
Yeah,
to the. But I
yeah.
think this is a better song than that one. I don't like that song from Destruction.
No,
Right.
okay, yeah.
I
Yeah,
find it a bit repetitive. It's nails in the cross. Like it's just the
yeah.
lyrics are better here than on that song.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, so I like it. Like, again, I'm getting speed metal vibes, thrash vibes all over the place on this one. Tony's vocals are okay, but a bit rough again, in certain spots. But again, it's a chorus you could totally sink your teeth into. So that's great. And I mean, like especially towards the end, Tony had some of these like agonizing like screams. Like I don't know, that doesn't do it for me.
Well, you
But
hear a hammer.
yeah, and then to me, just the whole last 30 minutes is like or 30 seconds is a bunch of noise. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't
Well,
end well in the last 30 seconds.
Well, the hammer is that the person's being nailed to a cross.
Yeah.
That's what you're
But
getting.
musically, it just that whole like the last 30 to 40 seconds is, I don't know, kind of wasted for me, but
Mhm.
overall I like it. Like it's a great track.
Yeah, like I like about the last half a minute there. I was like, okay, it seems like the guitar is whining out, and it seems like okay, the song is over. But you see the clicker time still going. You're thinking, okay,
Yeah.
but then you have the agonizing screams, the yells, and the pinging of the nail and the hammer, which I think is pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. Ken, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a pretty good song. I thought at first like they were trying to attack Christianity, but it's not really about that because the lyrics, like, it's all about living like this malevolent life, and then you pay for it by dying on in crucifixion. So I don't think it's referring to Christ. I thought it was, but it could still be. I don't know. It's there. It's could be, but yeah, the song is great. Fucking insane. The vocals are
Oh
great.
yeah,
The chorus is the best part.
yeah.
Nailed to the cross. It's great. So as a closing song and an ending song, perfect. It's perfect. I wouldn't want to end it with any other song with this one. This one works well.
Yeah, and I agree. The reason why I wrote down it gives me a Slayer vibe, but I think I'm cheating only with the fact of probably the song title. But it has musically kind of some old school Slayer vibes to it. Not vocally, but it's just probably the fact that this could have been easily a Slayer song, nailed
Yeah.
to the cross. So, off anything from South of Heaven, down. So, but yeah, I think it's a great ending to the album. I think. At 34 minutes, I think another song would have been too repetitive. I think they kind of capped it off when they did, and it is a quick album. It's a quick synopsis because it is a quick album, but I don't think where there's so much speed metal on it, I don't think you can do it any other way. I find there's more thrashiness towards the end of the album. I really like the last 4 tracks, but definitely a great way to end an album. We're always very picky about how they start and end albums, bands. So this one definitely gets an A plus for me on ending.
Cool.
So cool. Okay, guys. Anything else you guys want to add about it there?
I think it's a good album. It's unique. It's different. Obviously we're talking about the vocals. The vocals are probably the main topic. I'm convinced that this band didn't really people didn't get into them. I think the vocals are probably the reason why. I would think guitar wise is great, and it's not unlike what we talked about last week with Destruction. There's some similarities there too. A 3-piece band, the guitarist is the star of the band, kind of thing. This is similar in a lot of ways. Great bass, drums are great. Like, it's solid stuff.
Yeah. And Billy, how was Tony P's vocals in 2020 when you saw them? They were good?
Like, they definitely weren't harsh like the Power and Pain album.
Yeah.
But he was also singing other material too, right? Not just that stuff. So yeah, I didn't mind it. Like it was a while ago. It was 5 years ago. But like, I do remember enjoying the show. But Tony wasn't exactly like, headbanging and running all over the place. He was pretty static at his mic stand, as most of the band. Well, I mean, there's only 3-piece. So, but yeah, overall, I remember enjoying the set. So that's pretty cool.
Wicked. And I mean, no, I get it. And you see so many bands in such a short period of time on those cruises. 5 years ago, that could be like 350 bands.
And that was a big 80s year, right? Because I remember going from Toxic to going to Whiplash.
Wow.
And like there were a couple others like that, right? Like huge 80s, like, or huge, like, very strong 80 thrash bands that hadn't played in a while. So that was pretty cool.
Wicked. Well, we're going to go on to our section. We normally do a top 10, but we decided to mix it up this week just to kind of come up with a little bit of a direction and come up with something just kind of a little bit different. What we're going to do is we each picked an album, one of our favorite albums. Not necessarily it could be our favorite. It could be one of. I mean, 86 was such a strong metal year. Who wants to go first? What we're going to do is we pick an album, talk about it for a few minutes, like 5 or whatever minutes, and just chat about what we want to talk about that album and what it meant to us. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. Ken, you're up.
So, of course, I 86. It's a big year if you're looking at metal releases. But I went with Master of Puppets, and it's an obvious one for me because I think out of all the, Megadeth came out that same year, and I like that album as well. But Master of Puppets was the album that I really liked. This was it. It was given to me. You heard it, and you were an instant fan. And I also went and saw that show, Maple Leaf Garden. So I was there for Master of Puppets, their first major headlining tour. They were here back in '85 in Toronto, played the music hall, but I don't think I don't remember if they were. I didn't see the show, but I don't think they were the closing act. But here they were. So Damage Incorporated, Maple Leaf Gardens. It was in December. It was a cold
Wow.
and I went with a jean jacket, and that's it. And so I'm a stupid kid. So it's like I go with a jean jacket on, and I'm like, oh, I got to get into this. And you do. They played 17 songs that night. It was a really, really good show. They had 2 encores too, which I remember. The final song was Blitzkrieg, is what they ended the show. With Master, they only played the first 4 songs, and that was pretty much it. So side A, they didn't touch anything with side B. So, but it was a good show. I loved it. I've been a fan ever since. To me, this is their magnus opus in my mind. It is where their style significantly changes. They go from to a more refined, massive, and like a very complex sound with their style. There's a lot of really classic guitars. It might be a bit dry at times in the way that it comes across, but I've always liked it. It's not as energetic as Ride the Lightning for sure. But it's an album that I like from start to finish. I don't think there's even one song that I don't even like on the album.
I agree.
Battery is an incredible song. What an opener. And then the thing that shouldn't be is the Lovecraft song, and I love that.
Wicked.
Yeah, Sanitarium, even though it's kind of a ballad, semi-ballad, I love that song. I love the way that song. It's so great. And even when you get to the second half, like the Swizzle Heroes, what a song. Yeah. Totally great. I just love that song. And then, Leper Messiah is great. Orion, the instrumental, is really good. And then they close off with Damage Inc., which is a great banger to close off the album. But yeah, I love it. When it came out, I was so enthralled by it. And then, of course, to me, this led into Megadeth, because right after that, I picked up Peace Sells. And I listened to both pretty much for the full year. The 2 albums I just constantly listened to. They were just constantly repeat.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, in grade 10, when I was in grade 10, I was in math class, and I brought the album in from my buddy. And he's like, holy fuck, where did you get that? And it's like, here it is. And people, all my buddies are like, wow, Master of Puppets. So, like, it was big. It was big for a lot of people, and it was big for me. But yeah, I love this album. It's, to this day, I still love this album.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree. That's like a membership to thrash metal, to heavy metal. That's probably one of the best ones. I mean, I always brag about how I'm a huge Kill 'Em All fan, but yeah, it really changed. It really changed for Master of Puppets. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's one of those
albums. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Billy.
I was just gonna say, Master, next to Slayer's Rain and Blood.
Yeah.
Master has the best opening closing track in thrash metal.
Yeah, absolutely, totally.
Yeah,
Battery is one of my favorite.
Love that song.
Ever song. I love Battery. It's just like, wow, this is
Damage Incorporated too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
And Damage Incorporated is
Damage Incorporated is also equally as good. Two really, really good thrash songs that kind of bookend the album. But there's not a bad song on that album. I like all the songs. Even Orion, I like as the instrumental. I totally like that song. But
so, Ken, did you say they played Madison Square Garden?
No, sorry, Maple Leaf Gardens. If I said
Maple Leaf Gardens.
Sorry, yeah. What I said, Madison. Yeah, no, that's New York. What am I talking about? No, but Maple. So did they play? So did they sell out the stadium?
Yeah. It was full house.
Were they headlining?
They were headlining, yes.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's bizarre. Like, I'm gonna have, I'm sure. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just like I'm gonna go back and check. So I saw them on that tour as well. And Montreal is, I would argue, is a bigger metal city than Toronto is. And they played a small little like arena, the Verdun Auditorium. Like, it wouldn't have even held like 3,000 people.
Interesting. Yeah, they played.
That's where Slayer would play and not even sell it out.
Well, in Toronto though in the 80s, I really, when it comes to clubs, there was only like small clubs.
But they sold it out, or they filled it. So
yeah, I mean, my memory is hazy, so I shouldn't say it was sold out. I mean, thinking about it, to me, it would have felt that way. But I mean, it
Okay.
was. I know I was down on the floors, and it was
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like,
So, I mean,
for Metallica, the first time they played like a hockey arena in Montreal was Justice.
yeah, I'm not, I don't know why. I'm not too sure why, but Toronto, I don't think had a lot of small clubs. They would have been way too smaller. Like they played the concert hall when they played the
Yeah,
Ride the Lightning,
yeah.
and that concert hall's a really really small place. It's not
Oh
very
yeah,
large.
yeah. They're too big for that. Like I'm talking like a 3,000. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and double check. Maybe I have it wrong, but like I'm sure they played the Verdun Auditorium, well, which would have been a day or two after, and that's like 3,000 seater max or 2,500.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's like where kids play hockey, like junior hockey arena.
I mean, yeah, my memory is hazy, so I mean,
Hmm.
I would think it was sold out. But it felt like
Then
it
it
didn't.
could be me.
But well, maybe, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
I mean, but you could be right. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. I mean, Maple Leaf
No,
Gardens.
you saw them December 9th,
Yeah,
1986.
yeah,
Yeah, that was Maple Leaf Gardens.
I was there.
Yeah.
I
That
was
is
there.
weird. So
I
what are
won't
you
forget it.
looking at, Jim? Are you looking at
I just
a set
Googled,
list?
but apparently Metallica. Yeah, so I don't know who opened for them. I don't. It doesn't
I
say
don't even
that.
remember.
I
I
just
don't even remember.
Googled. It said Metallica. Toronto. When did Metallica play Toronto? And they had all the dates down. And in 1986 was December 9th at Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens, and it
They
said
played.
that
They were the
back.
headliners.
Yeah,
17 songs.
it said that Metallica supported Ozzy for half that till August, and then I think it was maybe Armored Saint was the main act through the fall and winter with support from Anthrax and Metal Church.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was it's so bizarre. Like I got to go back and check. Like now I'm dying to know. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But like it's crazy to think Montreal they would play to 2,500 people and then
And
they
they
would
put
play to
Maple Leaf
18,000
Gardens.
in Toronto.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Billy, it could have been like 8,000 people. I don't know. I mean, even that,
Yeah.
I don't even, I couldn't even tell you. Like, I
I
just,
might be wrong. I might be
like,
remembering.
from my perspective, I thought it was like sold out to me, but I was a
Yeah,
kid,
it probably could have been. Yeah.
but it was insane. I know that much.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'm remembering it wrong.
But I know it was Gardens, and I know it was a step up because, yeah, the concert hall they played in '85, which is like, yeah, that's like a small little place. So,
Hmm.
but
Cool.
yeah, but
Well,
yeah,
that's good for
that's
them
my
then.
favorite
Yeah.
one. My favorite album from '86.
cool. Billy, how about you take it away?
I was just looking it up. I'm dying to
That's what I
know.
was. I was trying to see because there's.
So,
Yeah,
Jim, while I go, look
yeah.
up
I'll look it up.
Metallica plays Verdun Auditorium.
They
Yeah,
The
did
go to
play
Sirius
there.
FM.
so was that 86?
Just one sec. Yeah, it was 86,
Yeah, like how could that's crazy.
December 3rd. Auditorium. Yeah, Verdun
Yeah.
Auditorium. Yep.
Like I lived across the street. That's where I'm from, Verdun.
So, Bill, you're
Uh,
saying it's like 3,000 in holes, or
maybe 2,500. Like that's where like kids play hockey.
And you saw them with Metal Church because Metal Church would have opened for them.
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't even remember who opened for them.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't either when I saw
Yeah,
it.
no
Well,
way.
wasn't that Billy? Billy, wasn't that right when Cliff died? Like this would have been the few dates after.
Yeah,
Or...
this would have been right after Cliff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so how is that? So what? That was the third. And Ken, what was the date for you?
The 9th for
9th,
Toronto.
December 9th.
Okay, so maybe they went to Ottawa, or maybe they played a couple in Verdun.
They might have, yeah.
Hmm.
But also, like, I don't think it may have not sold out. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
hard to say. I mean, it could have been 8,000 people. You know what I mean? Like it's the
yeah,
garden sells like 16,000, but I don't know. I'm sure it wasn't 16,000 people because they were just starting. They were just getting their
yeah,
recognition.
exactly, right? Yeah,
Right? They wouldn't have been on top. Like just as they were on top. I mean, I
yeah,
saw it at the Gardens and it was sold out. That show was sold
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
So you
Wow,
could
I
be right.
find that fascinating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here.
Like Montreal to only play to that few people. and then a few days later. Wow.
But
Okay. Well, it is what
he
it is.
played. They played Stockholm, and then the bus crashed. Correct, because they've got
Yeah.
dates canceled. So on September 26th, Metallica on the Damage Inc. tour, which is the one you guys saw, then they canceled the Denmark one, obviously West Germany, France,
Yeah.
Spain, and then they came back to it. Looks like they started up again in the I think in the U.S. in Anaheim, maybe. I don't even know here. I'm just trying to. They went back to like Providence and stuff. So they played Montreal December 3rd, Verdun.
Yeah.
Then they played Chicoutimi at the Centre Georges Vezina on December 4th. On December 5th, Quebec City. They played
What was the name of the
Rimouski,
venue in Quebec City? The Coliseum?
the Pavilion de Jeunesse.
Oh, that's a small place too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Rimouski. They played Rimouski.
Wow.
Victoriaville on the 7th, and then they played Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens. They played Sudbury after that. They never came to Halifax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, everyone. We're on a total
Yeah, no, that's great though. So
but I was fascinated when Ken said they played Maple Leaf Gardens.
That's 5 dates in Quebec though. Like,
yeah, that's a lot of dates.
Yeah, maybe that's why they split out everywhere. Like,
and then they played Sudbury, and they played the Maple Leaf Gardens, and then went to the Sudbury Community Arena.
yeah, Sudbury. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what, guys? Thinking about it now, I'm sure it wasn't 16,000 people there.
Yeah, you know how sometimes arenas will do the mini thing, right? Like the curtains and the stage will be more in the middle than towards one end.
You know what though? They went on and played Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver. That's pretty big. Like they played Calgary, the Max Bell Arena, Edmonton. They played a convention center. They played in Brandon and Saskatoon, and they canceled a date in Regina. I don't know, maybe ticket sales. Winnipeg, they played a theater. So they were playing like these small areas with one like big one here and there.
More importantly, Jim, did they stop in your neighborhood?
No, they didn't. I only saw them for the first time. I saw them on the Injustice tour.
You can't win.
No, I can't. They played Sudbury, but they won't play the Metro Center.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyway, anyhow, we're learning stuff new every day.
That's true.
Go ahead, Billy. All
right. So yeah, sorry everyone. I led us down that rabbit hole, but
that's a good rabbit hole.
So yeah, I picked an album that's I have a connection with. It's not a thrash album. This is nice. A glossy cover one. This is Sword Metalized. So I always felt like, a strong connection. I grew up in Montreal. These guys are just, they're from just south of Montreal. So it's kind of a hometown province band for me. So these guys were popular. So in my eyes at that time, 86, I thought they were quite popular. The best thing I would describe them as is heavy metal. It's not thrash, it's heavy metal. Like it's aggressive, but it's also melodic, lots of catchy hooks. The guys did sort of garner some like international success. Actually, Metallica hooked onto them. The guys in Metallica used to play this album, like, on the tour bus and stuff. So they specifically requested Sword, particularly on the Quebec dates on the Master of Puppet tour. So I think that's pretty cool. Alice Cooper picked them up, and they did his Canadian tour, Return of My Nightmare. And then they joined, for supporting this album, Motorhead, and going through Europe as well. So definitely got, some international attention. Some other bands, requested them. Where did I first hear them? Maybe similar to you guys, perhaps, was like, their first single was called FTW, which stands for Follow the Wheels. It was, I guess, a big hit for the band, but, our video channel in Canada, Much Music, was playing that video in 86 all the time. So yeah, it definitely got a lot of attention for Canadians. They did another single shortly after, Stoned Again. That was a cool one, kind of a heavy, groovier track. The vocalist Rick Hughes, I've always been a big fan. He can do the highs and he can do the lows.
Great singer.
Yeah, like I think he had a French accent, but that kind of made it cool, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes the accents add like an extra layer. Like if I listen to Millie and I hear like his German accent, or I find it adds like flavor to his vocals. So that's cool to me. Most of the tracks had a pretty aggressive pacing. It wasn't your like hair metal or anything like that. It definitely had some balls to it, so that's pretty cool. Excuse me with the coughing. I'm still fighting this cold here. Other strong tracks like Children of Heaven, The End of the Night, Evil Spell, Where to Hide. Not really a weak album, a weak song in my mind. This is probably the peak of their success. I actually, in '88, so 2 years later, they released Sweet Dreams,
Yeah.
which I love that record.
It's a
Like,
great record.
yeah, it's probably even more melodic. But I mean, I probably like it more than Metalized. I might be the only person, but
No, no, it's a good album.
yeah, I like it. I got to see them. Speaking of Verdun Auditorium, actually at Verdun Auditorium, and they were opening up for Wasp and Metal Church. That was a bit later because Wasp was doing. That was maybe Sweet Dreams tour actually, because Wasp was touring Headless Children
Oh yeah, yeah.
at that time. So that was pretty cool. And then actually just in 2022, they released after like a huge break, an album called Three, which is fitting given it was their third album. I liked it quite a bit.
Same here.
Yeah, I have no idea how successful it was internationally or if people knew about it, but I got a real kick. Like in it was either December of 2023 or January of 2024. The band did a
Yeah.
Montreal show at the Beanfield Center, I think it was, and I made the trip there. Actually, I think yeah. I think I was in the U.S. and at that time, and I made a flight just to see this concert. So
Hmm.
that was really cool. They packed it. It was a good sized theater, hometown crowd. It was. I had a blast, like hearing all those old tracks. So yeah, I mean, Sword is not talked about a lot these days, but like if you like your traditional metal, and I encourage people to give it a try. Either Sweet Dreams or Metalized or both. I think they're pretty solid. Do you guys like it?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a good band. I knew them from Much Music. I used to hear them all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah,
And you know what? They
yeah.
did the parking lot for the Metallica concert for one of the nights just in last summer.
Oh, in
Did
Montreal.
they?
Yeah, yeah, in Montreal. They played the
Okay, cool.
parking lot there. Man, Rick puts on a great vote. The band sounds so tight. I really
Yeah.
hope they put out more material.
It's funny because Rick has been doing like he's like kind of like a superstar in Quebec, right?
Yeah.
Like he sings in French, but he sings like rock and folk music. He's not singing any metal, and when he's not part of Sword, so. What's a little interesting to see him perform live because he was doing like his dance. He had like a dance that would have fit in like Quebec folk music or something that would creep into his performance during this Sword show. So I kept
Right.
getting like a smile or a kick out of that. Like I
Yeah.
think he forgets where he is when he's doing those dances. But he was fantastic live. I loved it.
Cool.
Yeah, they're really cool, and I'd love like they do these little mini dates where they'll do like 4 or 5 places in just Quebec. It's kind
Yeah.
of neat. I mean, I'd love to see them out east, but I know it is what it is. But I'd love to get up there to Montreal and see them play. They're a band I would definitely love to see them play, and I've never
Yeah.
seen them play. So,
Yeah,
but
me neither.
yeah, no,
Cool.
and I know they do so well. They're like Quebec's. I think he even sung at a Montreal Canadiens game. I think
I
they were
wouldn't
there
be
performing.
surprised. Yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
be surprised. Yeah, he's very famous in the Francophone music scene.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Cool.
that's cool. So with my pick, I decided to go with a band that I think everybody knows. I decided to pick "The Dark" by Metal Church.
Yeah, good album.
Great album. So I mean, I think I picked this one up before the debut. I would have got I got this one at the record store. The guy who worked at the record store said, you got to check these guys out. Took it home, totally blew me away. You know, great classic lineup. David Wayne on vocals. You know, rest in peace. We all know, you know, this came out in October 6th of 86, was their second album. I absolutely loved it. The two singles on it, Start the Fire, Watch the Children Pray, sorry. Just a wicked album. And, you know, this album's got a lot of, God, I was reading and I didn't realize how many like 9 out of 10s or 10 out of 10s through all different metal publications over the years and at the time of its release, that it was quite, you know, this and even the debut were ranked very high. And I absolutely love it. I remember getting it. And I always, even to this day, I mean, we all know the tragedy that has struck this band over the years. And just to seem like when they get a little bit of momentum, something happens. And you know, this is definitely a band that I think should have been a heck of a lot bigger. Hey, you know, and you guys got to see them. They opened for Metallica on your guys's on your guys's tour you saw that we just talked about, which was really neat. You know, great. What do you guys think of Metal Church, and what do you guys think of this album?
Well, it's got a, I know it's considered a thrash album, but it's not really majorly thrash, but it's a good album. It's just the first two albums are actually really good. I like them both. I don't know if I like one over the other. I think they're both equally strong releases. But you know, they're a good band. They've always been a really good band. David Wayne's death is kind of shitty, but
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and
Bill,
what was David Wayne's solo? Like, I actually like David Wayne's a breakout band too. Like, wasn't it called Reverend or something?
Oh yeah. You're right.
Like, that was really good. Like, I loved his vocals in that.
I have to go back and hear it. I don't.
Yeah, Reverend.
I loved it. I loved it. I liked it more than Metal Church, actually.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I vaguely remember it. I'll have to go back and hear it again.
Yeah. It didn't have the success of Metal Church, but
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And an interesting point there, Ken. Just you know, Scott Ian, you know, liked Mark Dobson's production work on this album, and that got them to spurn them to use him for a State of Euphoria.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat. I mean, you know, but this album, I mean, it just, you know, and I mean, this album was dedicated to Cliff Burton because, I mean, Metal Church was so close to Metallica. The bands were kind of, you know, coming up at the same time, that sort of thing. I always thought it was neat that they went out on that tour. And, but no, just a really great album. I mean, there's so many. 1986, you have, like, even for just regular metal, you've got King Diamond's Fatal Portrait came out, Iron Maiden Somewhere in Time. I think you had a Dark Angels album came out. You had Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, you know, The Sword. I love Sword, and I love those albums. That Metalized is one of my favorites. It was a good pick there, Billy. I also like I think is the other one got the skull with the snake coming out of
that's Sweet Dreams.
Yeah.
That's a great cover too.
But so many great albums. I mean, you know, and I think Metal Church was right up there with them. And I feel like it's just such a great band that it was kind of like the band that just couldn't get over that hump, so to speak, which is kind of sucks because I think especially a lot of the really early material is so strong. So
the first two albums.
Yeah. And even the third I like quite a bit too. You know, and I mean they kind of, you know, it kind of changed. You know, Blessings in Disguise, Human Factor was pretty good. But, you know, anyways, kind of some interesting stuff there. But, I mean, such a strong year for metal. And overall, I don't think you could have a bad pick no matter what you picked. You know,
that's true.
I mean, even Stryper brought out To Hell with the Devil, I think, at that year. So
Yep.
It was a strong year all said and told. So
I have that album, actually.
So do I, actually.
I actually like that album.
Yeah. No, I had it too. That was the first year, the first Stryper album I got, actually, was that I remember buying it. We were going to see a movie at the movie theater in a mall, and I just nipped into A&A Records and Tapes. They had a display. I just bought it.
Yeah.
I remember it still to this day. I think my
Cool.
girlfriend at the time talked me into it. But anyways, I'll blame her.
Yeah.
So. Anyways. Well, that's it, guys. We had some good conversation. I like that. I really like talking about that album. It kind of takes us off. I like the rabbit hole we went down. That was cool. I didn't realize Metallica played like Brandon, played like, Victoriaville. Like, man,
Yeah, it's
that's
interesting.
wicked.
Yeah.
It's wicked.
And at that time, right? It wasn't
Yeah.
Justice success or Black Album
Wait,
success.
do you think the forum maybe was busy like?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, not to keep going down the rabbit hole. I just
No,
looked
but
up. So the capacity, it looks like it's 3,700.
Okay.
Now, if they would have stuck the stage in there, they would have lost like a chunk of seats.
Yeah.
But they would have picked some up on the floor. So let's
Right.
say it was 30, maybe 3,500. It's a bit better, or that's what it is today. I don't know if the arena is bigger now, but that's still a huge difference versus Maple Leaf Gardens.
What's the seating at Maple Leaf Gardens? Like 20,000 for a hockey game?
No, it was 16,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I'm certain it wasn't 16,000 there at that show.
Well, they would have lost some of it and gained on the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Man,
they were
if there was
probably
10,000 people there.
it could be. I don't remember. I mean, I'd have to maybe Google like attendance records at Maple Leaf Gardens, and I'm sure there's something would support what it was, but
that's interesting. I thought that was pretty, and they didn't play Ottawa, which was weird.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Ottawa. I don't get that.
Yeah, they played or like even Hamilton. Like they played some small places, and maybe they just broke up in Quebec. Yeah, you're right. Maybe the Habs were playing or something.
But maybe that's because I guess the Ottawa people had to travel.
Yeah,
Hamilton had to travel into Toronto, so they kind of picked up some
good point.
Additional crowds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible.
But I think it's a testament to the Quebec fans because they play 5 dates in Quebec, and a lot of those places must be just 2,000 seaters. I mean, I bet you every venue sold out.
Oh, guaranteed.
Oh yeah,
guaranteed. It's master. Come on.
I know. It makes me mad they didn't come here to Halifax. We could have given them 8,000. Probably only 3 would have showed up, but hey.
But did that arena exist back in '86?
Oh yeah, that was built in '77. So yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's been retrofitted since then. So
yeah.
They've they made it a bit bigger and put some private boxes in and that.
Cool.
So, but anyways, well, guys, that brings us to a wrap of our show. Billy, you want to announce next week's show?
Yeah, so we are going to do DRI Thrash Zone. I think probably the last crossover thrash album we did. What was the last one actually? Or Power Trip might be it.
Yeah.
So yeah, DRI Thrash Zones obviously comes way before that does. Yeah, I love this album. A lot of great tracks. I mean, arguably their most successful album, probably, like in terms of success and video play. I mean, Beneath the Wheel and those things were like very popular. So yeah, it's a great album. I'm looking forward to diving back into it again. I haven't heard it in a while.
And I love the logo.
Yeah,
the sign logo. I think that became the logo and just is so synonymous. Like as soon as you see it, it's DRI on every shirt. Like cool. Yeah. Thrash Zone. Cool. Love it. Great, guys. Well, at this time, I guess we'll call it. Everybody, check it out. Check us out, and we'll be back again next week.
You bet.
All right. Have a good night.
Yep.
Good night.